That went so horribly wrong, and I'd been trying to sort that out, but the phone kept trying to fall off the stand. I do apologise. We can cut that out, I'm sure, if we have to put this anywhere else. So how's that for a view? That's not too bad, I don't think. I'm going to put my mouse away now because I don't need it. And I think that, oh, Cindy, you're so good. Hello, everybody. Again, we're here. Thank you so much. I do apologise for that. It just doesn't want to go the way I want it to go. Di, you're a star. But it looks like we haven't got a bad view. You can see the machine, you can see the bits and pieces that I'm doing, and you can see the bag that I've started. So that's great. So I just wanted to show you Promise, which was the bag that we did, well, it's a couple of years ago now, I think. And it's a little project bag, ever so simple. There's no boxed corners, it's flat. However, I have done some boxed corners here because I want to share with you what I use for that. And where you can find that. So Promise is on Lizzy's website, not mine. Oh, thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Judith. So this is on Lizzy's website, so lizzycurtis.com, and this is obviously has got some hexagon applique work on the front, which I'm not doing, but we're going to look at. It's got no pockets in this one, but it's good for a blueprint that you can do lots of other things with. So if you want the blueprint of a bag, you can use this. Now, the good thing about this is if you want it bigger, you can do it wider and the same height. So it doesn't really matter. You can do it wider and taller, or you can do it taller and the same width. Yeah, whatever. So just add an inch on everywhere, or 2 inches on everywhere if you want it the same shape and bigger, or you know, you can do with it what you like, and you can box the bottom corners. So I'm going to put a Promise to one side and we're going to have a look. So I've made the bag. I'll turn it in the right way for you, because all it is a rectangle. Okay, so there's no seam at the bottom, but I've boxed these corners. Now you will see, and I deliberately didn't take this off, I'm hoping that you can see a little bit of a blue line or a green line there that I used, that I drew when I wanted to box the corners. Now this is, I'm going to put it up against this to see if you can see it. Actually, let's turn this up and you'll see it even better. This is my pocket I've got ready for you. This is the bag box bottom corner, bag box corner template that is Lizzy's. It's fairly new, and it is a fabulous tool, absolutely fabulous. It's got lots of markings on it, and you can see it's rectangular. So this is a 45-degree angle. So you can do that for measuring for triangles and all sorts of things. But at the bottom here, we've got inches, and the dotted line gives us 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch and all that kind of thing. So what I did for this, and I'm going to show you on this one because I've done one corner on this one and I haven't done the other corner. All I did for this is that I used the template. Put your hand inside and put what would be an imaginary seam down there, but a crease if you like, up against the side seam. So that's the bottom up against the side seam. Now you know you've got it straight when this is the same width from you know, either side. Okay, so then pop this to one side, doesn't matter which side, and we're going to put this on. And we're going to measure in from this end. Now it's got little 1/2 inch there. I'm going to measure in 1/2 inch from the end of the stitching. Now I don't think you can see that very well, but I'll put it on there. And here is the end of the stitching. So don't do it from up here. We want it from the end of the stitching, which is after all where the point is, because you can see the stitching is under there. So if you prefer to do it, you can do it on that side. Okay, so it goes from here. So let's do it on that side. Either side is fine. And then we've got this dotted line here, which is 1/2 inch. So I'm going to put that right on that corner. Can you see how I'm doing that? So the dotted lines go along that edge and along that edge. And then I'm going to grab my heat erasable. It doesn't have to be a heat erasable because it's on the inside. And that one's not working very well. I think you can just about, it's difficult because I've got interfacing on here. I've got H640 on there. And then when I take that away, you can see that I've got that little triangle there. So I'm going to take this. Now, this is nothing to do with zips, but I just wanted to show it to you. I'm going to take it to the machine and I'm going to sew across that orange line. So I've got my seam flat on the other side. And there we have our stitched line. So I'll hold it like that for you so that you can see. I'm taking off these threads. And on the other side, it looks like that. Take off that thread as well. And then all I'm going to do is trim that off. Now, for something this small, you don't really need to trim that off, but I've trimmed that so the seam allowance is about 1/4 inch. And then when I push it through, you can see that there's a very small boxing. Now, when you do 1/2 inch either side of your seam, what you get is an inch base, 1 inch long base. So if I brought this ruler up to that, you could see that that's an inch. You can just about see that. And I've done the same on the other side, and that's an inch as well. Okay, so that's what I've used to box the bottom of my bags, because I didn't want to do zips and not have something to put them in. So if you're interested in this, have a look at the website or email Lizzy or whatever you want to do. And you can buy these. They're really reasonable priced and so good. I love it. It just makes box corners so easy. And because I was doing a bag, I just wanted to show you that. Now then, let's get to our zip. This is my lining. So again, you can see from it that it's a rectangle. It goes all the way like that, and that's the same length as the rectangle for the outer bag. And all I've done is find the center of the lining and the center of my pocket, which also would be a rectangle if I'd had the enough fabric, and on the other one there is enough fabric, but all I've done is join them together. So however long you want your pocket to be, then you can do that. I'm not giving any kind of dimensions or anything, because you can do this at any size. Okay, so I found the half of my lining. This is right side up, so there's the wrong side of my lining. This is right side up. And I found the half of my pocket, which is right side down, so right sides together. And here is something like 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch, depending on how tall, how high you want the front, the pocket to be on your lining. And then what we're going to do, so we put those right sides to right sides. And then what we're going to do is just to pin them and find our ruler. So this pocket on here happens to be, oh, just about 6 inches. Just, it might be a smidge more, but I didn't really measure it. I just wanted it so that it came a little bit in from the sides. So I'm going to find the center of my 4-inch ruler, and I'm going to put that just here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a box. I'm going to draw a box which is roughly 1/2 inch in from each side. Okay, so I'll find, I've got a green one here. I wonder if that's better than the blue one. The blue one seems to be running out. Let's have a little look. So I've got the 1¼ inch mark on the top of my pocket. Okay, just along there. And I'm going to draw a line right the way across that ruler. So basically I want to leave 1/2 inch either side. Sorry that my fingers are on it, I can't kind of, there you go. So there's my top line of my box, and now I want a box 1/2 inch deep, so I'm going to put that on there again. That's better, you can see a little bit better this time, and draw across. And then if you want to use your ruler you can, but I'm just going to fill in the edge of the box. Okay, and so what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop a couple of pins just a bit further down so it doesn't move, so the fabrics don't move. And then I'm going to take this in the machine and I'm going to sew on those lines all the way along the box. Now, if I were you, and it's what I do, I would put your stitch length a little bit lower than normal. So if your machine defaults to about 2.4, then put it down to about 2 millimeters. I use mine on 2 millimeters. I'm going to bring this towards me a little bit so you can see a little bit better. And we are going to stitch along that edge. Not along that edge, along that box. All the way around, all 4 sides. So that's along the top. And then pivot your work and come down to the bottom. Pivot again with leaving your needle in. Go all the way along the bottom of the box. Pivot again. Come up the side. And all I do is carry on 2 or 3 stitches over where I'd started. So I can now take that pin out. I can snip off my threads. Oops. Actually, I'm going to get smaller scissors. It's a little bit easier to manage when you're trying to manage malleable fabric and pesky threads. So you can see that I've stitched all the way around the edge of the box there. Okay, if I hold that up. And you can see on the other side that we've stitched all the way around the edge of the box. You can just about see that. So I can take those 2 pins out, and I'm going to take these 2 pins out as well. Then what I'm going to do, and you can use your ruler for this as well if you want to, but I tend to freehand it. I'm going to draw in from the corners to the centre at a 45-degree angle on there, so into that box. Okay, so at a 45-degree angle, that's a bit more like it. And then all I do, and you can use your ruler for this if you like, is to just join those 2 points, and then you've got the centre of your box. And then fold in half your fabric. So fold it in half really well. And then what we do is snip on that line. And then if you folded it in half really well, you will find that you've snipped on the line. So I've got about an inch long cut there at the moment. So I'm going to pop my scissors into that. Now you want a scissors that is really sharp on the edges, because I'm going towards the edge and I'm going to snip on my 45-degree line as well towards my corner stitches. Now you want to go as far as you can without cutting into your stitches. Okay, and then we're going to turn it round. And we're going to do the same. I've got my fingers underneath now, so I know I'm not going to snip anything else that I don't want to cut. Ordered the box template. Oh, fabulous. You'll love it. It really is very handy indeed. Very handy indeed. Now, I'm going to push that away a little bit again. I've got my iron, and I'm first going to set those stitches, get rid of the marks if the iron would only warm up. Put it on maximum. And then what I'm going to do is to push this down at the line of stitching. So you can see we've folded it on the line of stitching, and I'm going to give that a press. Then in at this side and give that a press, and it'll make it easier to make it flat after we push it through. And then I'm going to do the bottom seam as well. So push that up, make sure it's all flat in there, and give that a press as well. It does make it easier. And then what we're going to do is to post everything through our letterbox, hence the reason why it's called the letterbox zip. Hello, Helen. Hello. And oh, thanks, Lizzy. Thank you. It wasn't a great view to start with, but I'm hoping you've missed that bit. So there's the bottom poked through. Now we both poke through the top and the sides. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with, I'm going to finger press on those seams. Because what we're aiming for, and don't worry if you can't get it exactly right, but what we're aiming for when we've done this a few times and when we're, you know, experienced at it, is that we don't see any of this pink on the right side. So let me show you what I'm going to do. So I've finger pressed, and then I'm going to bring in my iron and I'm going to press that seam. I'm also going to finger press the side, or finger press the side, and press that with my iron as well. And then roll the seams in your fingers so that it's nice and even and the fabrics are flush, and give that a really good press. And then we'll turn it over and we'll see. So this is our pocket, and we'll see that I don't think we've got any of that bright pink showing on this side. Okay. So there's our letterbox. All we've got to do is to put the zip into it. Now, if only I could find my zip. Here it is. What I've done is to put, I've measured a zip that's bigger, which is what we want. Then I've put quilter's tape, so I'm going to take that off now, right on the edge at the top and the bottom. I'm going to put the iron over there out of the way a little bit, turn it down. Let me just take the paper off. Of course it doesn't want to come off, does it? When you want it to stick, it won't stick. And when you want it to unstick, it won't unstick, you see? And that's because it's quilter's tape and it's temperamental. But I wouldn't be without it. Okay, so I'm going to bring the zipper, the zip pull rather, down the zipper a little bit. And then I'm going to take this zip to the back. And what I want to do is I want to centre, so I'm going to put it like this for you so you can see. I want to centre the zip in the letterbox. That's not perfect, but I'm not worried about perfection, I'm just worried about excellence. So I'm going to take the zipper down to the end for a minute and bring those zips together. You might want to join those with a little stitch, but this is where quilter's tape will really help. I don't think my quilter's tape is helping as it could if I kept it in a nice closed plastic bag or little tub or something so that it didn't lose its sticky. But if you feel that your quilter's tape has lost its sticky, then we can always put a pin in there. So I'm going to put a pin in there because that's not a sticky bit, and I'm going to put a pin in there. In fact, I'll put it the other way around. No, don't worry, I'll put it that way around. Okay, so that means then that when we open our zip, we will have a really nice letterbox zip. So what I'm going to do is turn it over for you to show you how it looks on the inside. So it covers that letterbox, and the zip teeth or the zip coil, whatever you want to call it, is in the center. So I'm going to take out the pins from the other side, hold it in place and just put them in this side. Now, why did I do that? I don't want to do that. I want to sew from the other side. Dear me. That's because I'm used to putting the zip in from the other side, I think. And then so I'm going to take that one out and put it right. We'll forget about that. Goodness. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start somewhere along here, and I'm going to sew top stitch about, well, if I can get it, a 1/16 of an inch. Use your zipper foot and do as close a top stitch as you can to the edges of the box. Okay, so let's bring this in again so that you can see. I've got my tiny little zipper foot on. So I'm going to start from the middle here and let those pins stay where they are for now. Okay, so you can see if I turn that round a little bit, you'll be able to see it a little bit better. Put those in the bin. Make sure my scissors doesn't fall off. Okay, so I'm now going up to about 3 millimeters. And we'll stitch all the way down the side, then pivot like we did before. Now be careful with this because you are actually stitching over your zip, so go slowly. And I like to put a stiletto or something there to stop that zip being pushed down and out of shape at the side, because it can so easily narrow that little bit there by the zip coil coming down. So be careful of your inside fabrics. And we're going all the way along here. I think if somebody came along with a tape measure, they would say that my zip wasn't quite in the center. Well, let them come. I'm going to hold that underneath so the zip coil is together. And then keeping my zip together and using this to stop it moving. And pull my pin out. I just need one more stitch that side. And then I'm going to go over the stitches there, about 3 stitches. And that is all we need. We don't need to do any back stitches or anything like that. Just cover your original stitches. I've got a bit of a bird's nest there, but it's going to be inside and hidden. So don't worry about that. So there is our zip. And you can see that's all nice and neat on the inside. So what I'm going to do now to finish my pocket is I'm going to move the zip slider a little bit. I'm going to trim the zip off to sort of about 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, whatever. Don't worry whether it's neat or tidy or anything, because it's going to be sewn inside and nobody will be able to see it without undoing all your stitching, which of course they won't do. Is everybody at quilter's tape? Oh yes, it is invaluable. It can be temperamental, but it is invaluable. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold up the pocket. So we're just going to bring the pocket up, right, fold it on itself, okay? And then if you want to put some pins in, move the lining away and put your pins in just the pocket, so that that's the two edges, or two pieces of fabric, two layers of the pocket. And then don't worry about the seam at the bottom, you won't have one. You see, I'm trying to use up scraps because you know that Lizzy has dedicated 2025 and has renamed it 2025 Scraps, which I think is great because it's really good to be able to do this. And so what I'm going to do is, we'll pretend this is a fold, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the bottom, so all the way up to the top, across the top and down to the bottom, but I'm not including the lining. So I'll show you what I do when I come up to the towards the top. So I'm going to do 1/4 inch seam allowance. And as I'm doing it, I'm pulling, making sure that the lining is right out of the way. On the sides, on the bottom, on the top, everything is right out of the way. And now as I come up here, I'm going to fold that in on itself to make sure that I don't catch it. And you can see that I've got about 1/2 inch here, and I'm doing 1/4 inch seam allowance, so that will not catch the lining if you've measured it correctly, and if you fold it in. Now go gently up to the top, go gently all the way up, and then I do a back stitch and come down. Don't ask me why I do that, I don't think you need to, but I do. And then what we're going to do is the top of the pocket here, top of the lining here, we're going to fold the lining back on itself, so back down over our zip really. Okay, and then we're going to bring that round and stitch 1/4 inch seam allowance along the top. And then pivot again, and now this side of the pocket goes of the lining goes in towards the center of the pocket, so we make sure we've got no fabric under here, under our needle, except for 2 pieces of pocket fabric that we're stitching together. Don't worry if your pocket isn't quite square, and because it's a pocket. Once you've turned it in the other way and it's inside your bag, the only way you're going to know whether it's square or not is by taking it all apart and unpicking it, unless you can feel it, of course. So let's take our little bit of threads away, move that again, and take our threads away. There's no need to trim anything on this pocket, that's all we need to do. So we have the lining that will look like that when we finished. We've got our zip done there. It needs a really good press, so I can bring up my iron and give it a really good press. This probably needs a bit of a steam press. So when it's in the bag, so as we open our pocket, then we will find our pink pocket, and it goes right down to as far as you want it to go down, and there's my hand inside the pocket. So what we're going to do now is, I'll close the pocket. We are going to just insert the lining into the bag. So fold the lining in half, and we're going to stitch down one side all the way, and then the other side we're going to stitch with a turning gap. So let's whiz down here for a minute. Your pocket won't get in the way, but just make sure it's not migrating, because it's much easier to double check for a second than it is to take everything out. So that's our one side done. Trim my threads. Oh, thank you, thank you. And we're going to 1/4 of an inch down the other side. And then I'm going to leave a turning gap. Probably should have left a bigger one, but I can always undo the stitches. And then starting down the bottom here again. Okay, so one more chance to have a look at the bag box corner tool, if I can find it. There it is. Because we're going to box these corners out as well. So I'm going to put my hand in, bring the seam down the center either side, and I'm going to show you from the front this time instead of from the back. So here is the tip, not here. Okay, so we're going to, I haven't got anything to put underneath it, but you can see if I put it there, you can see that 1/2 inch. Okay, and I'm just going to put it on there, and oops, draw my line, and you can put a pin if you want to. I'm going to bring it up to my machine. How easy was that? You see, it's just fabulous. Chop off my ends. Get rid of a few other ends while I'm at it, and then snip the corner off. So that's one done. It's so quick, so quick. So then we bring the other one up. So make sure these are like 45-degree angles. And then here's our point of our fabric. You can see it on the other side. So there's the point of the fabric, not this point here. And we're going to pop those dotted lines. Now you can't see it there, you'll have to believe me that the dotted lines are on the edge of the fabric here, that fold. And I'm just going to stitch that one. And snip my threads and snip my corner off. And as I said, for that smaller box, if you don't want to snip the fabric off, you don't need to. So there's my lining, all boxed already. So now what I'm going to do is pop my handles down inside. I'm not showing you how to make a bag. I just want to show you the finished article. So all I'm going to do is pop that down inside. It'll need a good press afterwards. Line up my side seams with the top of my bag and the top of my lining. You can use clips or pins to do this. Nest the seams at the side. And then we can stitch all the way around. So I'm going to stitch from the inside. Well, actually I could stitch from the outside. No, I'm going to stitch from the inside because I haven't got a free arm on here. So let's do this at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and we'll stitch all the way around. Put my stitch back to my normal 2.4 or 2.5, whichever you want. I'm not going to go backwards and forwards over my handles because I've basted them in already. You know how to make bags, and if you are not sure how to make a bag and you want the full instructions, then this bag is based on promise. As I promised I'd come back and do a demonstration on the letterbox sit for you, so that's what I've done, and I've kept my promise. all the way around. There we go, snip off my threads, and then we can pull through the turning gap. I'm not going to stitch the turning gap now, I just wanted to show you the finished bag with the pocket, and it won't be totally finished because I won't have given it a press and I won't have top stitched around the edge if that's what you want to do, but I just want to show you the zip inside. We'll snip off a few of these. So let me push it right down in, and then we can, what I'll do afterwards is stitch all the way around, top stitch all the way around and give it a good press. But you see what I meant about the, I can't get it down straight now, flat. There we go. You see what I mean about the pocket. Let's open it and push the pocket in properly, because I think it's, the pocket's got, that's it. Okay, so that's better. Now you see, once I've pressed it, there's our pocket just sitting nicely inside. And when we open it, we've got that lovely pink flash inside of there, and it's all nice and neat. So that's our letterbox zip. Now obviously you don't have to do it in a different colour, but this was intent on showing you. So in a bag, you've got a lovely secure zip, you've got a nice clean lining, and a really lovely bag finished off. So without further ado, this is the bag that is going to be next. I've done exactly the same thing. I won't be finishing this one off like the other one. I just want to show you what you can do with a letterbox zip. So I'm calling these placket zips. I really don't know if that's the right terminology, but this is a placket. So you can do exactly the same thing, and I'm going to show you, and you can have a placket over the top where you've just got one piece of fabric and you can't see what's underneath it. So when you have your lining inside your bag and you open your bag, all you can see is that. Now, if you want to, you can do this the same colour so nobody will even know that there's a pocket in your bag. So that's one way of doing it. And so you open your zip from the bottom like that, and then pop your zip back in and tuck up the zip slider. Or you can do it with two plackets. I call it a double placket pocket. Of course, I don't know if that's the right terminology, but I thought I would show you how to do that. So there you've got your lining on the inside, your pocket lining on the inside. And if you did that the same as the blue here, these bits would be blue. So I'm going to show you what to do, how to do that. So starting off exactly the same, almost identical to the last one, except that I've put this a bit further up because I'm going to put my box a bit further down because I need some of this pink fabric to make my plackets. So here we've got the lining, here we've got the pocket. I've centered it up and I've pinned it. So all I'm going to do is grab my ruler and draw my box. This time I'm going to do it about 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches. Measure it up at the center. You can't see here, but I have got a fold where I've measured at the center. I'm going to put these pins to the outside so they're just holding that in place without impeding my ruler work. So I'm going to do this kind of about 1.75 inches. And that gives us about 1/2 inch either side. don't know quite why this is scratching and not drawing. It's probably because I've left it open and they're drying out. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this down onto the 1/2 inch. That blue line doesn't do me any favours doing that, but you can see your 1/2 inches on the side here. So exactly the same, except that the box is further down the pocket. I am going to stitch around as we did before. So take that pin out, it's too close. Drop your stitch length. Love the Placket versions. Yeah, I do too. I think they look just very smart. And at first glance, somebody looking in your handbag for something might not realise it's there. I can't say that it's added security, but you never know, do you, what we can get away with. And they certainly won't be able to put their hand in there and grab something out of the pocket because we've got the zip. So down that 4th side, and then just go over the previous stitches a little bit. And then exactly the same thing to split the pocket. So I'm going to come in at a 45-degree angle-ish towards the centre, either side. You can, if you want to, just draw the line first to within 1/4 inch, and that is exactly 1/4 inch, so that's not too bad. So is that one. You can draw the line to within 1/4 inch and then just join up your points. Either way, fold it in half as we did before, so exactly in half, and you should find, because you've measured your box, that as you slip on the line, then you're dead on both lines, both sides, I mean, of the split. Cut up to your corners, snip the other side, come up to your corners, and then we're going to bring out the mat, my lovely little small narrow ironing mat. Iron that side, the top, iron the sides, push them away from you, take out those pins now, and iron the seam at the bottom. So just push it away from you as if you were doing a quilting block, or, you know, some piecing, that kind of thing. And then what we want to do is to push it all through. And take your time on this to make those seams nice and even and flat. And as I say, what we're aiming for is not to see the lining on the outside. However, we won't see the lining on the outside of this one anyway, because this is now at the juncture where things are about to change. So that's exactly the same as what we did on the last one. So give it a press all the way along. I'm conscious that we've got 5 minutes, but we should get this done. It may not be as neat as doing it nice and slowly like you will do it, but I just want you to see. Now, so what we're going to do now, and I'll leave that there so I think you'll be able to see it, is we are going to fold this down. I'm just going to give that a little press because I've tucked that. And then we're going to fold it so that this comes in the centre of that box. Okay, so instead of folding on our stitch line, we're folding 1/4 of an inch beneath the stitch line, and make sure that's nice and flat. So 1/4 of an inch, and this is for the double placket. If you want to do a single placket, come down with this. I want to do a double placket. Come down with this and fold at that edge there. That's if you want to do this single placket one. Okay, neither of them are difficult, but I think the double placket is almost easier. I haven't got that quite square. It's almost easier than the single placket, and I'll show you why in a second. So that's the top bit. So that's that bit there. And then we're going to take this one back and we're going to fold it there instead. So let's have, got my fingers underneath just holding that in place. So all you need to do for this one is to bring it up to the top one. And again, we'll give it a press. Okay. Press it really well. And then we're about to put the zip in. So it won't take long. We'll be finished by 8 or just after. So because you want to put the zip in nice and there we go. So this is like a pair of lips, isn't it? As long as they meet in the centre. That's not very central, but take your time and get it in the centre. I'll press it from here. You might find it easier to press from the front because you can actually see that it's central. And then all we have to do for our zip is get the zip teeth in the centre. So again, I've put my quilter's tape on. And we can do it from the other side, or we can do it from this side. So we've got a zip that's too long. And so just pop it down over the zip teeth. And you can see from the inside, bear with me while I just manipulate. You can see if you pop that there, you can always lift it up, but you can see that needs to go up very slightly. And then if I pull this down, you'll see just half of the zip teeth. Now I don't know whether you'll be able to see that awfully well, but we can just see the bottom half of the zip teeth there. So let's see if I can show you. Can you see there? So this top fold is over the top of the zip teeth. Let's see if I can. And this bottom fold will be over the bottom of the teeth. So as we're sewing all the way round, we want this zip slider to be inside that letterbox, not outside. So I'm not telling you it's easy peasy because it's fiddly, but it's not difficult. Once you get the concept of where you want your folds to be, it's only folding fabric. Okay, so that's how it will look. So you can pin this if you want to. I'm going to bring it to my machine and we're going to stitch it. So I'm just going to use my quick unpick or whatever it is that you've got. And I'm going to start stitching just to pull that out, make sure it's flat inside. So stitch all the way down or across, whichever way you'd like to. Use your stiletto or quick unpick to just hold those zip teeth in place. I've got this on a short stitch. I forgot to change it for top stitching, but it doesn't matter. Just might not be the neatest in the world. Hold your two pieces of zip together at the end. And go up the side. And come back down where you started and overlap a few stitches. So we can snip those threads. Then all we need to do is snip the ends of our zip off. Do that both sides. Make sure you don't cut your lining. You'll be very fed up. And put that out of the way. And then we're going to bring our pocket up exactly the same. So the only difference between this and the last one that I did, spending a little bit more time on it, was the folding of the fabric, which is why we bring the box a bit further down, so that we've got plenty of room up the top to be able to stitch around. So it's just 8 o'clock. I'm just going to stitch all the way around here. I'm not going to do any more after that. I'll just take 2 minutes of your time to stitch around here so that you can see the pocket. So let's put a couple of things out of the way and bring in the machine again. I'm going to go from the bottom, 1/4 inch seam allowance, pull your lining right out of the way, fold it over at the side of the zip, and go all the way to the top. I won't backstitch this time. I always do that at the top of these. I don't understand why, really. There's no need to. There's no need to reinforce those corners, because you're not going to put anything in the top of the pocket, because it obviously will fall out. Oh, gone too far now. That's why. Okay, and then bring your pocket out at the side, right out of the way, fold it right out of the way, carry on with your stitching. All the way down. And I obviously do a back stitch at the end. Snip off your threads. Hello, Obie. I've got my son's dog with me at the moment. So this is your lining, and we pretend we've stitched the sides, popped it into the bag, and this is what it does. So once you've closed the zip, you can pop the zip tab in, and then you've got your hidden. Now, this isn't the neatest, I have to say, but that's because I was pushed for a bit of time. But I just wanted to show you the process. So that is that. It needs to be folded a little bit more at the top. But it looks great, doesn't it? This one is better because obviously I took my time at this one. And this one is nice and flat. And there's our zip pull inside. And then when you close your zip, if you're very fussy about it, you can pop your zip pull on the inside. So that's our two letterbox zips. The one inside our bag is all done, and this one is ready to go into this bag. All I need to do is to stitch up the lining right sides together, box the bottoms with my beautiful tool, and away I go. So there we go. Let's see if I have any success turning the camera towards me. I'm going to just turn it front ways. And oh, that was better, wasn't it? So there is my little double placket. So there is the little single placket, which is exactly the same, but you just fold it the top down instead of top and bottom. And there is the letterbox zip inside the bag. So I hope that's been of use to you tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm sorry about the jiggery pokery with turning the camera up. I realised what I was doing now. I was trying to turn it so that the other side of the camera would work, but all I needed to do was actually tilt it up, and yeah, so you live and learn, don't you? I was doing it perfectly well before we all joined each other, but never mind. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope that you've got something out of it. I hope that we can, between us, try and conquer your fear of zips, if you still have one. Don't forget to look up Promise if you want a blueprint for a lovely bag so that you can put a letterbox zip inside. Don't forget to have a look at my website. Don't forget to have a look at my page. And don't forget to join my group if you're a knitty, crochet, yarny sort of person. Thank you so much for indulging me with your presence tonight. I'm really pleased that you've been here, and lots of lovely people watching. So thank you for your company. It's been great. I've enjoyed myself anyway. And until the next time, which is in April now, obviously can't be in March, can it? I will see you again, and hopefully we'll have some more little techniques to go through and apply to patterns that you may or may not have. So take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you again for your company. Bye for now. Bye.